Hi everyone, thanks for joining the session today. Today we are going to talk about how to run an AppSec program with open source tools or projects, or how to build an AppSec career with open source tools. There's a big gap, or I would say there's a huge gap which an industry needs and what the students currently know from the curriculum. But how shall we bridge that gap? Students who want to build their career in application security, you can actually start contributing to these open source projects. You will get an experience how the industry functions. Let me share my screen and we can get started with the setup of a program. Now, as I've said, the context that we are going to be talking about running an AppSec program. Before I deep dive into running an AppSec program with open source projects, let me brief a bit about myself. I'm Vandana Verma, and I'm one of the global board of directors for Open Web Application Security Project, which is OWASP, and also one of the chapter leaders for OWASP Bangalore. Coming back to the topic, this is a sample architecture that I have created, and I feel that these are the things which are very much required when we are starting off with an AppSec program. Now, one of the first and the foremost things to run an effective program or AppSec program is an inventory of all the applications that we have. Requirement gathering. This is the first and foremost thing that we need to set up when we are running an AppSec program. We need to know what are the requirements. We need to know what are the applications which we will be building, or what are the applications which we currently have. So it also ties up with the inventory management. Without an inventory, without knowing what my applications are, what I need to build upon, we cannot do anything. We cannot run a concrete program. And another important thing is that we need to know what is our external attack surface. Now, once that's done, once the requirements are gathering, we know our environment better, we have done the requirement gathering, how about doing a threat modeling? Threat modeling is the process of discovering potential security vulnerabilities in the design and making sure we eliminate them before even writing the code. So it fits during the planning and designing a new feature best. So OWASP has released an installable version of one of the wonderful tools for threat modeling. It has a desktop variant as well. So what it can do is it can actually does the threat modeling. It includes system diagramming and a rule engine to automatically determine. We need to do the secure code review because it's very important when we are writing the code, we know what we are writing. So security code review checklist enable developers to find and fix vulnerability when they are coding. It assess every application. They can assess every application, whether built in-house, purchased, or compliant, or compiled with different security mechanisms. Now, this is like very important piece. We've seen the biggest breaches in the past few years. We know there was one big company which was hacked because of using an outdated version of Apache. That's when we all started getting to know that yes, this is one important piece. And software composition analysis also become an important part in OWASP Top 10, where we've mentioned as A9, using components with known vulnerabilities. Now, once we have done the requirements gathering, threat modeling, and we've done the code review, there comes the web application testing. So how shall we get started? The first thing is, how shall we get started? The first and foremost thing is, we need to map our surface and we need to know the attacks that exist. And OWASP Top 10 needs no introduction, which was first issued in 2004 by OWASP and every 3 years getting released. And the latest one is 2017, and the next one is set to release in 2021. With time, the OWASP Top 10 vulnerability list has been adopted as a standard framework for best practices and requirements by numerous organizations. So one of the well-known adopters of the list is the Payment Processing Standards, which is PCI DSS. And even when we talk about pen testers, if I talk about myself, if I have to start testing an application, OWASP Top 10 is my go-to place. Now, when I know the top 10 vulnerabilities, I need a testing tool. I need a scanner which can help me automate the test cases. Manual process is fine, but there is not everything that can be done within a stipulated time period. So security teams often run dynamic application security tests to locate and find the bugs or vulnerabilities just before the launch of application. Defect tracking. Now we have the defect, we have the vulnerabilities. We need to store them somewhere. It can be helpful for students, developers, testers, security researchers, everyone. All the projects that we talked about, I have listed in one particular sheet, which can actually give us a holistic view, a complete picture of all of our learning, apps, alerting, monitoring, logging, everything. So once the whole program is set up, the most important thing is to take the feedback. So once this whole program is set up, let's take a feedback, which is a vital piece to improve the practice. Now, how can you contribute to the project? If you wish to contribute to these open source projects or to suggest any improvements, then please do so. There are GitHub repository for every code project, and I keep doing it. And I really love suggesting changes, and I feel that there's something that can be added to it. I go ahead and do that. It can be minor contribution, and minor contribution leads to the bigger contributions. So you can contribute not just for the code contribution, but you can help in writing test cases. You can help with the documentation. You can talk about these projects in public like I am doing it, suggest new features. Last but not the least, you can help donate to the project. How shall we move forward? We can get to know about all these projects from OWASP.org, and you can see that there are projects, chapters, and everything is listed openly. Also, if you are in a particular location and you want to get to connect with a local community, you can look for the chapter if it's there in that particular area which you are in. And if you want to start a chapter, you can actually request. You can put in a request, which the team will check and approve your chapter. Now, as a community, you can also leverage the scholarships, the travel grants, the meetup groups, the networks that are available. Take or leverage help from the scholarships which are available. If I remember correctly, there were close to 40 people who were given free scholarships to attend those wonderful trainings, wonderful paid trainings. And if you want to do that, please go ahead and keep a track of it and leverage that. How you can reach me? I'm available on Twitter, LinkedIn. You can drop me a note about feedback, about discussions. I'm available to have a chat about how you are running a program, how you are setting a program, and how this can improve the project that I have set up here, the program that I have created here. So please feel free to share your insights. I'll be more than happy to have a discussions around it. So this is all I had to say today. And thank you so much for listening to me.